Okay, this video is going to be talking about the envelope transformation tool, and it's going to be kind of geared toward the baseball skins and making a name that tapers from big to middle to big at the end of the name again. So, and I'll also kind of give you some basic EW pointers along the way. So whenever I start a new design, the first thing I do is I set the hoop size. So you have some standard inches and some standard metric, and you can, if you know your hoop by millimeters, centimeters, or inches, you can pick that too and set in custom sizes. So I know that my hoop is 140 by 200 millimeters. I already got that scheduled in. So I would just say update and close the hoop. So you'd pick your hoop and close. The next thing I'm going to do, and I've already done it, is bring in my template. So a lot of the baseball groups and stuff have given out free PES templates and stuff. So if you have a PES template, you're going to say File and Import File, and then go to PES. That'll open up your files in your computer, and so wherever you have it stored, go find it, bring it in, and that'll import it into EW. For me, I made my own, so I hit the open, and that will open any file that I created in EW. The file extension for EW is .stich. So when I save this, when I make a file, I save it as a stitch and as a embroidery file. So you save two files at the end. So that's what I had done. I had used file open and brought in a file that I made. And the other way that you can bring in an object to trace or use is to say the insert image. This is insert is a trace an image, which is a different function. So you want the one without the red on the mountains, but click that and you can bring in a JPEG or a bitmap. So now, the next thing I'm going to do, because it drives me nuts to have my neck kinked looking sideways, is select both of my items. I'm going to go up to the curve functions and I'm going to rotate 90 degrees. And then it will tell me down here, click on a point to rotate around. But it really doesn't matter what point I pick. I can pick this point over here. And it will rotate at 90 degrees. Now I'm going to go over, and with both of them selected, I'm going to click this box right here that says Align to Center. And it will put it perfectly in the center of the screen for me. You'll note that my baseball skins are outside of my hoop line, and that again is just because to design I like to look at things with my neck straight up and down. So when I get done with my whole entire design and it looks good here, I will select all and go back up to curve functions and rotate back 270 degrees to get it back into the hoop. So anyway, so then I'm going to hit the select button because that will unselect everything in the list. And if you hit it again, it'll select everything in the list, in case you don't know that that does that. So the next thing I'm going to do is go up here to the T tool, which is the text tool. I call it like the True Type Fonts tool, because any True Type font you have on your computer, you'll have access to here. This is usually set at a different number, but if you have it set at 5.4 as your standard, that means that any letter you make will be about an inch tall. For the baseball, the center spot, let me close this and show you. This spot right here is about, use the measure tool and show you how to use that too. Click there to there, and it tells me that the measure is 20 millimeters, and 20 millimeters is about 3/4 of an inch for those that like the inches measurement. So anyway, so when I click this, 5.4 is an inch, so I'm going to make that number a little bit smaller. I'm going to make it 4.95, and that ought to be pretty close to 3/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to go over here to my font, and I'm going to pick a font, and I don't know, what do you guys want to use? How about Engravers? Let's use Engravers, and let's just set it to an 18 for just any size, because we can adjust that later. And then I'm going to say OK, and then I've got the name Smitty in, but if I wanted to change that to Smith. I can just click and type in there what I want. And then I'm going to pick the fill and I'm going to say OK. When I do that, it will, yeah, it should close. It's not responding, so give it a second and it'll do it. Okay, so then you kind of sometimes look like you just have a blob right here. All of these letters will be selected, and if you don't have a box around your quick edit box group, this is the group and this is individuals. So if you don't have a box around it, that little blue box that you see there, see around right around there, then click it once and the box will appear. If you click it again, see how the box disappeared? So click it till you have a blue box around it. And then go to your letters, and right here, when you get the double arrow, which is the second little, there's a square at the end of your letter, and then that first square that kind of peeks out, that'll give you the double arrows. You can kind of resize to about where you want to be. I'm going to guesstimate that that will be good. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to move this up here so that I can see if that's about right. And that looks pretty doggone good. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hit the unselect. So hit the select button so everything is, so all the check marks go away. Okay? So the next thing we're going to do is draw the envelope. And to draw the envelope, we're going to get our curve line. And we're going to simply draw this contour right here down, back around, and back up. And you have to do it in this clockwise fashion. You have to start at the left at like 10 o'clock, come down, go to 2 o'clock, come down at 4 o'clock, go back over to 8 o'clock, and then back up to 10 o'clock. But I'm giving you those clock numbers just to kind of get you thinking in a clockwise fashion. So it has to start up here in this upper left and work its way around in that fashion, or it will not work. So you're going to put a point, an end point, and then you're going to put a control point, another control point, and then another endpoint over here so that you're outside your letters. And then I like to switch to line at this point, just so I get a nice straight line here usually. And I want to bring it all the way down to the bottom of my skin. And see, I didn't get a straight line. So I'm going to hit the delete key so I can redo it. And it'll just delete that last click that I made. And then I'm going to switch back to the curve. And I'm going to put my control points again, or my control points, and then that last part of the last end point of the curve. And then I'm going to switch to line, and I'm going to go up and hit the box that I started at, and then I'm going to right click and hit end drawing. Now that gives me another object in my pane, which is the envelope. So right now I'm going to hide everything except for, I'm going to unhide my envelope and I'm going to unhide my baseball skins. And the reason I'm going to do that is to show you how to adjust this so that right now my envelope is outside of my baseball skin. So I'm going to right click and hit edit points, and then I'm going to use these control points because these control points control the path of the line. So I'm going to drag that down to about there, and I'm going to drag this one down to about the same spot. And then if I am inside my baseball skin, then that's good. So the same thing on this side, I'm going to drag to there, and then drag to there. And you'll kind of get used to where you want to drag to so that you aren't doing a whole bunch of drag, 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 drag. You know, you have to give yourself some time to practice. So then now it fits nicely inside the space that I want it to be. So the next thing I'm going to do is, the only thing I have selected is my envelope. I'm going to go over here and where it says number 8, I'm just going to back that out and make it number 1 because the envelope has to be above anything you're going to transform. And what we're going to transform is our letters. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click the hide button twice, because the first click will hide everything and the second click will unhide everything. So once I have no boxes checked in the hide box, then I know everything's unhidden. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select, and it's already selected, my envelope, and I'm going to go up to the point functions, and I'm going to come down and I've got to add the anchors, because I have to tell the computer that when you draw, I want you to start drawing up here in this corner, and I want you to follow my line until you hit a point that says, nope, you have to change direction. And that's what the anchors do. They tell it, nope, you have to stop, sharp turn right here. And you can't go outside of this line, and you can't go outside of here, and you can't go outside of here. So when it hits an anchor, it'll then follow the line or the curve to the next anchor. So we have an anchor at the start stop already. It's built in. So the next thing I'm going to do, right now I'm going to turn off the quick edit box because it really just is getting in the way. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click add anchor. And then I want to click an anchor here. I want to click an anchor here. And you can only add anchors to endpoints. You can't add them to the circle control points that we did before. And you wouldn't want to. That's why you use a curve here so you can adjust it. If you used a line, you could add an anchor here. So if you had a sharp here to straight across to back up, you could do that. But for our example, we're using curves, and so we want them to be at the end points here so that then follows that curve back to the next anchor point. And I'm probably over talking, but just ignore me because I'm kind of wordy. So then the next thing we want to do is have, I usually just unselect everything and then select again. So I'm going to select my envelope, and then I'm going to click here and drag down and get all of those letters, and they'll populate, and as they do, check marks will appear. And then I'm going to go up to the curve functions, and this is when it gets fun, and I'm going to say, and look, it reminds you, first selected item is the envelope. So that's your reminder that if you haven't moved that envelope up ahead of the letters, do it now before you hit this. And then you're going to hit envelope transformation, and there you have your tapered baseball name. Sorry, had to edit the video and splice this together. So we have just done the transform, and you have it nice and pretty in the center, nice sculptured, tapered word. And the last thing that you need to do is first unselect everything, then go over and just select your envelope and hit the delete key on your keyboard and delete it. And I have a second copy made in case I needed it for later. So I'm going to delete that one too. And there you have it. Then you are all done. You're ready to stitch out that ball. Copy the stitches and bring them in and place them on your ball, whatever you need to do. Hope that helps. Have a great day. Bye.